Ever feel like you're trying to change, but end up back at square one? You set goals. Promise yourself a fresh start tomorrow. But then, boom, you're stuck in the same old loop: procrastination, frustration, giving up. If you've ever struggled to transform yourself, maybe it's not a lack of willpower, but that you're doing it wrong, innit? This book's gonna show you that proper change doesn't come from a sudden flash of inspiration, but from small, consistent, daily habits. You'll learn how to build systems instead of chasing goals. How to change behavior in 4 clear steps: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. How to build good habits and break bad ones using real-world science. And most importantly, how to turn small, repeated actions into a launchpad for an extraordinary life. Book title: Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. Author, James Clear. This book's properly shifted how we think about habits and self-improvement, yeah? In Atomic Habits, Clear gives you proper practical ways to build good habits, ditch the rubbish ones, and harness the power of tiny actions to get big results. Whether you're after better health, your job, or just general happiness, the rules in this book can help you sort your life out. Imagine being able to improve every area of your life by just getting 1% better each day. These tiny changes might not seem like much, but they can lead to proper mind-blowing results over time. In Atomic Habits, James Clear points out the power of small habits and how they can build up to create massive change. This isn't just about the willpower or motivation chat, it's about building a system that makes the good habits easy and the bad habits harder. Stick around so we can discover the tactics to get your goals sorted, big or small. If you've struggled with making lasting changes or wondered how successful people built their routines, this summary's for you. Let's get the deets on what Atomic Habits is about. The unexpected power of atomic habits. So, listen to this, yeah? Back in 2003, something big happened in British cycling. Since 1908, British cyclists had only grabbed one measly gold medal at the Olympics. And for over a century, no Brit had ever won the Tour de France. They were so bad, top bike companies didn't even want to sponsor them, 'cause it would ruin their rep. Then, the UK hired Dave Brailsford. Something mad happened. The main thing was he committed to a strategy called the aggregation of marginal gains. He was all about finding improvements in every tiny little detail. Brailsford started tweaking things, yeah. Small changes, like redesigning the bike seats to be more comfy, getting the riders to wear electric underwear to keep their muscles warm, and rubbing alcohol on the tires for better grip. All these small changes made a big difference. At the 2008 Beijing Olympics, the team smashed it. But how did a rubbish team become world beaters with only small changes? This big change from small effort might seem a bit much, but we tend to forget how much small gains can build up. Even if it's only a 1% gain, we tend to not see it. Even still, the effective gains are often not seen until a few years. If you work hard and improve just 1% each day for the year, you end up being 37 times better by the end of it. Habits are like compound interest for self-improvement. They have little effect on a short time scale, but are noticeable after a month of grinding. Bad habits are a similar story. They take time to show themselves and you usually don't notice them. If you eat badly today, it may not affect your weight straight away, but if you keep doing it, it will all add up and you will notice yourself not feeling as good as you usually would. What is more important than if you succeed in your habit today, is if you are going in the correct direction, which is decided by your habits. How your habits create your identity. Why is it so difficult to stop doing the bad things and starting the good things? Because the bad habits can get proper stuck and are very difficult to get rid of. We often try to change the wrong things and go the wrong way about it. Lots of people want to change, but they only look at the end goal, not what they need to become. Focusing on this can make things easier. For example, a smoker wants to stop smoking. Someone offers him one, and he says, "Nah, I'm trying to quit," which suggests he is still a smoker. Whereas the other person can say, "Nah, I don't smoke," this puts him in the perspective of a non-smoker. Most people won't worry about change of identity when trying to improve themselves. When you feel good about yourself, you will be more driven to keep that side of yourself, so stick to those habits. Decide what you want to be and keep doing the tiny improvements so it shows. How to build better habits in 4 simple steps. In 1898, a psychologist called Edward Thorndike did an experiment so he could understand how habits and behavior work. He did an experiment where cats were put in a box, and the box was able to be opened when you either clicked a lever or pulled a rope. At first the cats was going mad trying to sniff and hit the walls. But after a bit the cat started to notice that by either clicking the lever or pulling the rope, they could leave the box. As they were tried more and more, the cat was starting to learn and did the action quicker, showing they had got a new habit. Thorndike noticed that if a behavior got them a good outcome, they will likely repeat it in the future. But if there wasn't a good outcome, they were less likely to do it. The habit-forming process can be split into 4 easy steps. Cue, something that affects your brain and signals for a habit to start. This is when the habit gives you the potential of a good reward. Craving, this is what drives you to act and do the habit. If you have no motivation to change, then you will not have a reason to do anything. You won't be craving a smoke, you will be craving for the relief it gives. Response, this is how you deal with the cue, and how you act. Your response varies on how much motivation you have. If the action is very demanding, it will most likely not become a habit. Reward, this is why we get the habit, it is the end goal. It will satisfy our craving, and will try and get us to do the habit again. Understanding all these aspects can help us to design good habits and get rid of the bad ones. To get the habits you want, is to make everything crystal clear. There is a story of a person who worked as an emergency worker, while at a gathering with her family. She was worried of her father-in-law because of his health and told him to get to a hospital as soon as possible. A few hours later he had to get surgery because one of the big arteries was blocked. This would most likely have led to a heart attack if it wasn't caught. Our brains can act like a predictor, by constantly observing and looking at the environment around us. For example, the emergency worker was able to quickly spot the signs for a heart attack as they can quickly see the signs on someone's face. This can be replicated in other aspects of our lives if we pay attention. To get new habits you need to pay attention to the things you do now. This can be a bit of a pain as the habits are already automatic. The biggest thing to do is to recognize what you are already doing. Make a list of the habits you have and write if they are good, bad, or neutral. Don't try to change anything, just look and don't beat yourself up, or get big-headed. Your habits and behaviors can change if you can just spot them. In 2001 a study in the UK which had 248 people in it, looked at how you can improve your exercising habits. The first group just tracked their amount of exercise, the second group were told to track their exercise and look at the benefits of it, and the third group also were taught the second group but also had to make a plan when and where they were going to exercise. They all wrote something like, for next week I will do at least 20 minutes of exercise on this day, at this time, in this place. Only about 35 to 38% of the people in groups 1 and 2 worked out at least once per week. Simply giving people motivation does not have a large impact on their behavior. However, as many as 91% of the third group's participants worked out at least once per week. Those in the third group had written down a specific plan for when and where they would exercise. The researchers called this implementation intention, or a detailed plan that helps people stay connected to their goals. Many people think they need more motivation, but what they usually lack is clarity with their goals. Making goals as clear as you can will do you wonders. However, a simple rule is that you have to make things obvious to make them happen. Making the intention clear will give clear signals for the habit, and will allow you to make a plan with specific times and places. The implementation intention can give you the biggest boost to keep your new habits. If you make it clear what you are going to do and where you are going to do it, you can make the jump from blurry goals to clear instructions and allow you to actually do them. Usually we think too much on motivation, but it's the environment that usually has the bigger effect. At the General Hospital in Boston, the doctor and Thorndike tried something new to get the staff and patients to change what they eat without any announcements and giving them motivation. The hospital has shifted the soft drinks from the fridges near the checkouts, and have replaced them with bottles of water. The soft drinks were still in the main fridges, but the water were put everywhere. This led to the sale of the soft drinks to be down by 11% and the sale of the water was up by 25%. Similarly, they shifted how they displayed the food and got the same kind of outcome. Nobody noticed a change, but the effects were still great. Most people don't choose what they want to eat because they want it, it's because of where it is put. Imagine you go into the kitchen and see a plate of biscuits, you might just start eating them not because you want them, but because they are just there in front of you. Your habits can change in a similar fashion, it can change where you are and what signals are in the area. No matter how our personality is, we have some habits that happen because of the environment. This is why our home and work environment rarely help us do what we want to do. If you want your habits to be a major part of your life, make signals of the habit clear in your environment. You should design your living space so it is easy to do the habits you want. An example is if you want to drink more water, keep bottles around the home so you can see them. If you want to read more, keep books in places you often pass. If you can make these little changes in your environment, this can make help doing the right things much easier, and will make you not depend on motivation alone. In 1971 during the Vietnam War, the Senator Robert Steele and Morgan Murphy noticed something shocking. About 15% of American troops that were in Vietnam had a drug addiction. The study showed that 35% of soldiers had tried heroin, and about 20% of them were addicted. This led to the creation of the Office of Special Action to support the troops when they were going to go home. Lee Robbins, who was the research director, had proven that if we have a different environment, this will lower the likelihood of people doing drugs. The soldiers in Vietnam lived in an environment where the drugs were easy to get, but when the soldiers came back, they were in a new environment which had no links to doing the drugs, which changed the habits. The study went against what we would think is the solution. This is usually just more disciple, but the study showed the difference between strong and poor self-control is not that big. The people with self-control just avoid the situations that would tempt them. People with the ability to control themselves usually don't need to use that ability that much because they have set up their life in a way that they have good habits and bad habits are much harder to do. So don't depend on self-disciple, instead improve the environment around you. This will help you spot good habits, and make it harder for you to get caught doing bad habits. If you want to get good habits, set up your environment so the habit will be able to come out. An example is if you want to drink more water, keep the bottles around so you can see them and are more likely to drink them. Small changes to your surroundings will help to encourage a positive way of living, and will reduce the need to get motivation alone. A way to make your habits more attractive is to connect it with an activity you love. At Dublin in Ireland, a student who was studying electric engineering had linked his bike to his laptop and TV so he could watch Netflix. This will only work if he keeps pedaling at a fast speed. He can enjoy the exercise more doing this. This is an example of action to make doing something you need easier by adding what you want. Based on the principles of psychology which says you can only to do that thing you want once you have done the thing you need. To make a habit more tempting/easier, mix them up with things you love to do. For example, if you like listening to audiobooks but you need to exercise, only let yourself enjoy the audiobook while you are doing the exercise. Mixing the two will make you more tempted to do the exercise because you know you can listen to your favorite audiobook. This techniques will work as you are mixing short-term fun with long-term profit, making the habits harder to quit. Making the needed activities more tempting will mean they are more likely to stick, meaning they will be more tempting in the future. Family and friends have an important role in building the habits we have. We don't choose the first habits we do, we copy them. We learn from the example of our family, friends, local community, school, and the society. Every culture and social group has its own standards that shape our habits. We unconsciously mimic those around us, picking up their habits. We learn how to act and solve problems from our parents or those close to us. We also copy our colleagues. There's this saying that if you're close to someone, you're more likely to copy their behavior. One study showed that if a friend of yours is obese, your chance of also becoming obese goes up by 57%, and this works the other way too. In a way, our mates and family act like invisible peer pressure, pushing us in their direction. But peer pressure's only bad when it leads to dodgy behavior. So, the best thing you can do is join a community where good habits are encouraged and celebrated. Being around people with habits you want to develop makes it easier to adopt them yourself. Your environment, including your social life, plays a big part in shaping your actions. Being part of a supportive community can boost good habits and make it more likely you'll stick to them. To find and fix the root of bad habits, connect them to a positive mindset. We often say things like, I have to do this, or I gotta do that. But if we just change one word, instead of saying, I have to go to work, say, I get to go to work. Just by changing the wording, you completely change your perspective. This way, you highlight the benefits of the habit instead of the obstacles and downsides. The trick to finding and fixing bad habits is to change how you link to them. By thinking differently, you can turn any tricky habit into something enjoyable. For example, if you hate exercising, instead of thinking, I have to exercise, try thinking, I get to exercise and improve my health. This subtle shift in language emphasizes the positive results rather than the effort involved. This change can make a massive difference in how you feel and approach your habits. By focusing on the benefits and positive aspects, you can change your mindset and stick to good habits more easily. This approach helps you appreciate the upside of the action, making them more appealing and sustainable in the long run. Third law, make it easy, slow but don't stop. Habit formation's a process where repeating an action gradually turns it into a reflex. Repeating habits leads to clear changes in brain structure. For example, the cerebellums of musicians are bigger than those of people who don't play music. Every time you do something, you trigger a specific neural circuit linked to that habit. How long it takes to form a habit isn't as important as how often you do it. Time's not the deciding factor, what matters is how much you do that action. Whether you do something twice in 40 days or 200 times, frequency's more important than the length of time. To form any habit, you need to practice consistently. The key to making habits easier is to focus on small, manageable steps. The goal is to make it less of a hassle to start a new habit. For example, if you want to start exercising, start with just a few minutes each day instead of committing to an hour-long workout straight away. Gradually increase the time as the habit becomes more stable. By making habits easy and reducing the barriers to starting, you'll increase the chances of sticking to that habit. Simplify the process and break down the habit into easier steps. Remember, progress might be slow, but as long as you keep moving forward and don't stop, you're heading in the right direction. Small, consistent efforts will eventually add up. Energy is precious and our brains are designed to save energy when possible. People tend to follow the law of least effort, meaning when there are two similar options, we usually pick the one that takes less effort. Every action needs a certain amount of energy, and when more energy is needed, we tend to do it less. Every habit can be seen as an obstacle between you and what you want. For example, dieting's an obstacle to getting fit, and meditating's an obstacle to having peace of mind. You don't love the habit itself, but the results it brings. But if everyone tends to be lazy, how do some people manage to achieve tough goals? The solution's to create an environment where doing the right things is as easy as possible, cutting down on the friction of the obstacles. For example, food delivery services cut down on the need to go grocery shopping, and dating apps cut down on the need to meet people in person. To build better habits, find ways to reduce the friction linked to good habits and increase the friction linked to bad habits. For example, make your workout gear easy to grab and ready to wear, or prep healthy meals ahead of time to avoid the temptation of junk food. By designing your environment to support your goals, you make it easier to stick to good habits and harder to fall into bad ones. This approach helps you save energy and stay consistent with the behavior you want, achieving your goals with less effort. To stop procrastinating, use the 2-minute rule. If you want to start something big, even if it feels easier to make big steps, you should still start with small ones. We often try to do too much, too fast because we're excited about change. A useful strategy is the 2-minute rule, which says that when starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Most habits can be shrunk into a 2-minute version. For example, if you want to read before bed, instead of committing to reading a whole chapter, you can start with reading 1 page each night. To form a 30-minute yoga habit, you can start by just getting the yoga mat out. The important thing is to make starting the habit easy. Whether you meditate for a minute, read a page, fold one item, or do any small action, what matters is that you start doing what feels right. It is an effective strategy if people think that reading a page is not a lot. But the essential is to keep the habit going. The 2 minutes can help you build bigger habit and become the expert you want to become by doing so. You will make this a common perfect habit. Combining the 2-minute rule with habit-building techniques will help you achieve your end goal. Once the habit's stable, move it to the next steps and keep going until you become an expert. Only when you've become good at it should you move to the next level. Eventually, the habit you want to build will become part of who you are. In the summer of 1830, French writer Victor Hugo faced a crazy deadline. He'd promised his publisher a new book 12 months earlier but hadn't made any progress. Instead, he started other projects, delaying finishing the work. Fed up, the publisher set a strict 6-month deadline, demanding that Hugo finish the book before February 1831. To tackle this challenge, Hugo came up with a unique plan. He gave all his clothes to his assistant and told them to lock them away. With no clothes to go out in, Hugo was forced to stay home and focus entirely on writing. Throughout the autumn and winter of 1830, he worked hard, and his book, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, was published 2 weeks ahead of the deadline on January 14, 1831. Success isn't just about making good habits easy, it's also about making bad habits hard. To make good habits essential and bad habits difficult, you need to design your environment to support your goals. To change habits, start by removing temptation, like Victor Hugo got rid of his clothes to avoid going out. For example, if you want to eat healthier, get rid of junk food from your house. Next, increase the friction for bad habits by making it harder to do them. If you want to stop wasting time on social media, log out of your accounts or delete the apps from your phone. Conversely, reduce friction for good habits by making them easy to do, like getting your workout gear ready the night before if you want to exercise in the morning. Create a positive environment by placing books around your living space if you want to read more. Publicly commit to your goals to create added accountability and make it harder to back out. By designing your environment strategically and getting rid of obstacles, you can make good habits easier to maintain and bad habits harder to fall into. Fourth law, make habits satisfying. Cause when an experience brings satisfaction, we tend to repeat that behavior. Example, chewing gum didn't appeal before it had flavors, but from 1891 flavors made it appealing. This shows an experience isn't appealing if it's not rewarding. The main rule in behavioral change is that those behaviors are mostly repeated, whereas punished behaviors should be stayed away. But we're looking for satisfaction ASAP than long-term satisfaction. Bad habits usually offer comfort immediately, but it could lead to negative situations on the long run. The good habits could be a challenge from the jump, but it's the opposite in the long run as it's more beneficial and rewarding. People tend to favor satisfaction immediately instead of long-term joy. An action becomes replayable when its end gives you joy. So if you quit smoking, make the change enjoyable for you, 'cause change becomes easier when it comes with joy. If you want to maintain your good habits, monitor the progress using the notepad or tracking charts, which allow you to mark achievements and give you instant joy and satisfaction after finishing the exercise. Also create your own system of rewards after completing the habit, the reward after a set of exercise or task. Create visual aids as well to remind you of the progress, like adding coins to a jar every time you complete it. Also make habits more fun when choosing activities you love. To build a good habit, make sure you build it so it's easy to maintain them. And ultimately, to make it as fun as possible, you want to do the behavior consistently to achieve positive behavior. Benjamin Franklin, when he was young, used a small notebook to track his 13 personal qualities for him, like not wasting time and always working in a useful way. At the end of every day, he listed and tracked his progress. The method is known as habit tracker, and it's a successful method in monitoring habits. Habit tracking's boss because it uses loads of behavior change rules. First, it makes actions dead obvious. Seeing your goals in a list reinforces them. Second, it makes habits appealing, cause seeing progress is mega motivating. Third, tracking habits makes them rewarding, like ticking stuff off a to-do list gives major satisfaction and shows you're getting somewhere. Tracking habits is key for staying motivated, keeping you focused on the goals. To track habits well, use a notebook or app to note them daily for a clear view of your progress. Set clear goals too, knowing what success looks like, so you know what to do each day. Keep tracking consistently, reviewing and updating daily, cause consistency is crucial for building and keeping habits. Don't forget to celebrate small wins, even little progress helps keep you going. Regularly review your tracking to assess progress and tweak if needed, keeping you in line with your goals. By sticking habit tracking into your routine, you build a system that makes good habits strong, offering accountability, motivation, and satisfaction. A partner that holds you accountable can change things by making consequences known for any kind of actions, and it can help you maintain power and commitments. If you have consequences soon, you're less likely to ignore it because of being lazy and unreliable, which is what people might think of you. Someone who is in charge of their own role and tasks is always ensuring there is someone always tracking progress, and those partners could make a huge amount of difference in the way actions are being worked to let them get a quick insight on the progress, and it will help someone realize their wrongs and mistakes and will help them fix their problems quicker. And someone will know that someone else is watching them, making them more focused on that given task. Regularly speaking to a partner who has the role of giving tasks and work will ensure consistency of efforts to help maintain good habits, and those given will ensure a huge level of moral and motivation while keeping someone's minds focused. As well, they're offering an insight from their point of view of their progress, which will help give them a spot on of the areas where they can see the improvement. If you maximize the level of the partnership, pick a partner that you trust and respect, that has the potential to help you gain your goals. Define clearly what is there to achieve, and how your partner could help you maintain their part of the partnership. Regularly attend to the partnership that could help discuss the problems you are facing and be fully transparent that could have a bigger change within the partnership that can help others gain their efforts. When you get a partner, it helps you create an external system to keep the track and support you, and it can help people gain their goals a lot quicker. A top tactic is moving from good to excellent. When you have mastered a good habit, it might get a bit bored and uninteresting, something to keep in mind. That buzz you used to get might just be a part of your day now. This boredom's one of the biggest challenges you'll face. We get bored with habits because they don't give us the same buzz as before, and we always expect results. Truth is, whatever you want to improve, if you only do it when you feel buzzed, you won't stick at it long enough to get wicked results. There'll be days when you want to jack it in, but the key's to keep going even when it's a drag, dull, or you're knackered. That's what sets apart the amateurs from the pros. The only way to nail it is to do what you do with all your heart and enjoy it. The weak spot of habits is we don't often spot small mistakes, 'cause you're doing something over and over, you might not improve it, in it. You don't need to worry about this too much, 'cause some habits don't need improving, like tightening your laces, it's not needed. You need to keep practicing and make it better until you hit the skill cap. To get from good to sick, you gotta accept the boredom, understand it won't always be fun, and keep pushing through the monotony. Always look for ways to improve your performance, and don't get stuck in old ways of thinking. Keep a high level of self-awareness by regularly checking your performance and spotting areas that need work. Get proper deliberate practice in, practice with the aim of improving, focusing on the bits that are hardest. Get feedback and think about it to know what works and what doesn't. Then tweak your approach based on what you get. By using these tactics, you can get past the initial buzz and daily habits to keep improving, nailing not just good results, but proper excellent ones. Conclusion. James Clear's Atomic Habits gives a mega comprehensive guide to understanding and changing our habits. The book not only gives you the theory but proper practical steps you can use every day to get noticeable results. By following the 4 rules of behavior change, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying, you can create an environment that helps good habits and cuts down on bad ones. One of the main lessons is how important small, gradual changes are. We often underestimate the power of small improvements. If done consistently over time, these improvements, even when only at 1%, can have a crazy impact over your life as they are made every day. Concentrating to the process will help keep you going and make it more likely to stick to your goals. The book also has made sure to help point out roles that are more social and has impact to what you do in life and around your habits. It's been highlighted that when we have good people with the same energy as you, it can make a change in the ability to make good habits. Clear also stresses how important it is to know yourself and practice with intent to get really good. It's not just about doing a habit, but constantly improving and adapting to new challenges. This needs a mindset that's always learning and the ability to bounce back from boredom and setbacks. Atomic Habits offers a plan to build a better life through the power of small habits. By understanding the science behind habit formation and using the strategies we've talked about, you can create lasting change and use all your potential. Remember, success isn't one big thing, but a string of small, consistent actions over time. Start with small steps, keep at it, and watch your efforts add up to amazing results. Thanks for listening to this audiobook summary of Atomic Habits by James Clear. We hope you found the insights and strategies in the book helpful and will be inspired to make small, positive changes in your life. It's those small and consistent actions that are key to mega transformation over time. By making good habits obvious, appealing, easy, and satisfying, you can create a system that supports constant improvement and success. If you liked this summary and found it useful, please think about subscribing to our channel and sharing it with your friends and family. Your support helps us bring more stuff like this. Don't forget to leave a comment below and tell us what habits you plan to build or change using the rules from Atomic Habits. Stay tuned for more summaries and insights from top personal development books. Until next time, keep striving for progress, not perfection, and watch your efforts add up to amazing results.